Hey, what is up, everybody? I am here to give you another Read Aloud series for the WWE Championship, a look back at the rich history of the WWE Champion Read Aloud series. Um, Before I start this, let me do a few plugs. If you want to check out the other Read Aloud series of this book, you can click right up here. I did a lot of the other Read Aloud series review on here, and it was a lot of fun. And you really aren't going to get much of an 411 about what happened because everything that I say is just on there. I'm not going to do it all at once. I'm probably not going to finish this book before Night of Champions this Sunday because that's tomorrow. So I'll probably just try to finish it after that and then move on. But if you want to hype yourself up, because if this doesn't do it for you, if you want to find another way to hype yourself up for the Night of Champions pay-per-view this Sunday, you can check out my Night of Champions review series down here. I did Night of Champions. I did every single one from 2007 all the way to 2014. And if you want to check out my predictions to Night of Champions 2015, you can click on the Massasoit Wrestling Corner playlist right over here. The Massasoit Wrestling Corner. You don't have to necessarily just watch it to know my Night of Champions 2015 predictions, but if you want to have a laugh, and if you want to watch 3 and some other special guests, ADHD and autistic kids, 2 of them are ADHD, one of them is autism, host a wrestling show and completely just go off topic and stuff like that, you can click on the Massasoit Wrestling Corner right over here. It's hosted by me, James the Heatman Hebert, and Ori Dre. And you can check that out. You can also subscribe to my channel down below if you want to check out any other content on this YouTube channel besides the Massasoit Wrestling Corner, the WWE Championship, a look back at the rich history of the WWE Championship, Read Aloud series, and the Night of Champions review series, because I have other series on this channel that you guys can check out, and you can continue to check out, but if you want to ever find it out, you have to click down below to subscribe. And if you want to subscribe to two of my other YouTube channels, one of them is called Owen the Talkinator, is right over here, and that is where I post my non-wrestling content, so if you want to check that out, you click over here, and then somewhere on this video, I'll post the annotation somewhere. You can check out my third channel, CM Brothers, where I talk about both wrestling and non-wrestling topics. And then my friend, James the Heatman Hebert, who also hosts the Massasoit Wrestling Corner, has 2 YouTube channels. One is called James Hebert, and he makes a lot of custom Titantrons for professional wrestlers and does a lot of voiceovers for, bands and stuff like that. So that's a lot of fun. And then his other YouTube channel is called Weymouth Youth Wrestling, where he's holding a tournament to crown the first ever WIW champion, filled with 32 superstars. And I'm one of those superstars in that tournament, and I'm going to win the whole thing and become the first ever WIW champion. So now that I've gotten all the plugs out of the way, let me read this book. I believe I'm on chapter 12. I'll find it. Okay, hold on. Yeah, I'm on chapter 12. I'm on chapter 12. And like I said, click up there if you want to check out the other Read Aloud series I've done on this channel, so you know what's happened. So, here's a picture of Ric Flair with the WWF Championship. And this chapter is called A Flair for the Gold. Ric Flair's victory at the Royal Rumble made him the only... let me read that again because I screwed up my words. Ric Flair's victory at the Royal Rumble made him the only... let me read that again. Ric Flair's victory at the Royal Rumble... I'm going to try again. I'm going to get this perfect. Ric Flair's victory at the Royal Rumble made him only the second man in history to capture both the NWA and WWE championships. The other was the original Nature Boy, Buddy Rogers, with whom Flair shared so many similarities beyond their name. Not only were both superstars champions in NWA and WWE, but both also sported bright blonde hair, uh, blonde skin, and an Anthony, affinity for the figure four leg lock. Additionally, Flair and Rogers were both known for their amazing endurance in the ring. Neither Nature Boy was afraid of competing for 60 minutes. So that kind of would be cool. That makes you kind of want to see a match between Ric Flair and Buddy Rogers now, because they're both the exact same, pretty person pretty much. So that would be kind of cool. Ric Flair was like the young version of Buddy Rogers. And obviously, I think Flair would win at that time since Flair would be the young guy. So that'd be kind of cool. And that's kind of a nice way to look at it. Um, at the time, I became WWE champion. WWE main events usually lasted 10 minutes, recalls Flair. But it took me 20 minutes just to warm up. I had to feel the way the crowd was responding. I'm used to psychology, feeling the crowd, giving them what they paid to see. I'm not saying nobody else did that, but I just had a hard time wrestling a 20-minute World Championship match. I liked to build the intrigue and suspense, which I think makes sense. Um, with each passing day of Flair's WWE Championship reign, fans and colleagues began to recognize and appreciate the unique style he brought to the title. That admiration helped the Nature Boy finally rid himself of the WCW negativity that was still haunting him. Because I think people just probably looked at him as a WCW guy. They just thought he was there to take over the WWF, and now they just looked at him as a WWF guy. And then, like you said, originally matches for the title were only 10 minutes, the main event matches. And then he brought in that new style where there was 20 minutes, and I think that's pretty cool. Not all matches need to go 20 minutes, obviously. There's some matches that don't need to go that long. But I think Flair brought that in there because I think Flair likes to work that kind of style because I think Flair likes working a 20-minute match, which I'm fine with. Continuing. During that reign, I began to feel whole about myself again. I reestablished all my self-confidence. WCW struggled to find a role for me, and they were always trying to replace me. Then 3 months later, I was the champion of the flagship wrestling company, is what I was trying to say. So that was huge for me. Plus, it was so much fun. Being champion just made the party even bigger. When I was champion, I never had a hard time getting a drink. Ironically, the truth is that the champ should be the one buying the drinks. That's always been the case. I actually think that's kind of a cool thing there. Years later, when David Arquette won the WCW championship, I made him leave the hotel bar to go up to his room and get the belt and his credit card. I said, "Champ, you're buying this whole damn hotel drinks all night long." And he did. That's actually a pretty funny story right there. I feel like that's just something that, because the champ usually is the one that gets paid the most, so that's why they actually end up buying it. That's the only reason I could come up with. One person who did whimper after partying hard with Flair was his manager, Bobby Heenan. After traveling with the champ for 3 days and exhausted, Heenan turned to Flair on the plane and said, "I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I hope your hair falls out and comes back red when we land in New York. I'm telling you, Vince, I'm done with you. No, I'm telling Vince I'm done with you." Luckily, Heenan was only particularly serious, and the two continued their amazing working relationship. That was pretty funny. On February 1st, 1992, Heenan and executive consultant Mr. Perfect stood by Flair's side at a press conference to announce the Nature Boy's WrestleMania 8 opponent. Among the possible challengers present at the press conference were Undertaker, Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, and Sid Justice. According to WWE President Jack Tunney, the decision to name a #1 contender was especially difficult, but after careful consideration, as well as examining the public's demand, he ultimately awarded the WWE Championship opportunity to the Hulkster. Finally, sports entertainment fans were going to get the dream match they longed for: Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair at WrestleMania, which made sense. This is the match that they were building up to. This was the match that probably was going to sell WrestleMania because everybody wanted to see Flair versus Hogan. That was the dream match. And I'm not going to go into detail about it this time because I talked about it in the last video talking about this book. So if you want to hear my thoughts about it, go on that video. Um, Sid took the snub the hardest, calling Tunney's decision bogus before tossing several verbal bulbs in Hogan's direction. Over the next few weeks, Sane's a brief friendship. I think that's what that says. The tension between Sid and Hogan escalated to monumental levels. WWE officials had a difficult situation on their hands. The Hulkster was scheduled to face Flair at WrestleMania, but Hogan's war with Sid was coming to a head quickly. It was ultimately decided that a battle between Hogan and Sid could not wait until after WrestleMania. As a result, Hogan was pulled from his match with Flair and put into a contest with Sid. It was, well, actually, I'm going to talk about that. So I think that's kind of bullshit they did that because that was the match that was going to sell WrestleMania. I don't know why they would do that. I have a feeling a lot of people were disappointed when they pulled Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair because that was the match they wanted to see. They had been building that match for a while. I don't know why they really couldn't wait to do Sid versus Hogan until after WrestleMania. That would have made sense, and I think they're gonna regret it because then eventually WCW ended up doing it at the WCW Bash at the Beach show in 1994, and WWF could have done it. They could have. Possibly, I don't know if that probably would have happened, but they could have broken the attendance record for WrestleMania 3 if they did this match. I think they made a big mistake not going through with this match. Because I know WCW, even though WWE owns WCW now, but now WCW had that bragging rights because they had Hogan versus Flair, and that was the first ever match, but they really could have done it at WrestleMania 8 on the grandest stage of them all in the main event. And I didn't get that, too, because they were both under contract. I don't get why they did that. I mean, I guess you could say that Sid versus Hogan would be money, but I just didn't really see the money there. I think Hogan versus Flair was the one they should have gone with. You really could have waited for Sid versus Hogan. I really personally think you could have even had Hogan just have a match with him before WrestleMania, and then it would have been all said and done there. Or you could have had Sid do something where he tried to screw Hogan out of the championship. There's so much stuff you could have done. They didn't need to do the Sid Hogan match. They should have done Hogan versus Flair at WrestleMania. But let's continue. It was later announced that Savage would fill the void in the WWE Championship match against Flair. To this day, WWE fans, but so Savage is filling in for him because he was like the next big face at that time, I think. But let's continue. To this day, WWE fans still talk about what could have been at WrestleMania 8. Many believe the wrong decision was made when Hogan was pulled out of the match with the Nature Boy. Flair, however, looks at it a bit differently. And I just pretty much talk about how I feel. But let's see how Ric Flair feels. I don't regret it at all. I don't look back at stuff like that. I never asked for an explanation. I never heard one. But I wasn't disappointed at all. I got to walk out the door in Indianapolis at WrestleMania 8 and wrestle Randy Savage. Hogan was wrestling Sid. You tell me who was in a better spot. Which I guess makes sense because Flair and Savage was another good match. That still ended up being the one, but they really should have done Flair versus Hogan. That was the big money match, and I don't get why they didn't go there. But as much as Flair wasn't pissed about it, he had. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that was the money match. I think what Flair's trying to say was he was in a better spot than Hogan was, which is probably true. Because he was pretty much in the the WWF Championship match at that time. So I just think they should have gone with Flair versus Hogan. I, I but I can see it from Flair's side. But let's continue. Headed into WrestleMania 8, Flair began an intense campaign of mind games designed to force Randy Savage into questioning his relationship with his wife, Elizabeth, while showing an enlarged photo of a swimsuit clad Elizabeth and the Nature Boy uh, canoodling by a hot tub. Flair claimed that the beautiful brunette was his property well before Savage ever came along. The champ went so far as to tell the neutral, ostensibly jealous Savage that his wife thought of the Nature Boy as the world's greatest wrestler, as well as the world's greatest lover. I think that's great stuff. Uh, Saving the best for last, Flair told Savage that he had an even more uh, pro pro fuck, I can't read this word. Proactive, I think that says prerogative. I think it says prerogative photo of his wife that he was going to display for the world to see at WrestleMania. Um, the embarrassment and humiliation was much for Elizabeth to handle. In the weeks leading up to WrestleMania, she became visibly distraught with the rage continued to build up inside the Macho Man. When Savage's name was finally announced on April 5th, 1992, the challenger bolted outside the aisle as if he were shot out a cannon. Less than 20 minutes later, the Macho Man gained the vengeance what he was after when he defeated Flair with a roll up from behind. So here's the photos though that Flair was talking about. Let me see if you can see that. So this is the one with Flair. She's feeding him a strawberry, is what that is, and then this is the one with Savage. This is the photoshopped photo, and this is the real photo. And Savage won. The storyline really wasn't that bad. I guess I think people. I'm just disappointed they didn't do Hogan versus Flair, but I guess the storyline wasn't that bad. It's one of those love triangle storylines, and I'm not really a fan when they bring those in. If they're done properly, they can work, but I'm not a fan of them. The only one I think they did properly was when they were doing it with Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage, and another one maybe I can make the argument was when they did it with Matt Hardy and Edge. But that when they were feuding over Lita, but that was kind of a real life thing, so I can't really say that was really them. So the only one they really did right was Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. That's my opinion. And Savage won the second WWF title. That was cool. Miss Elizabeth was hot back then, though. So let's continue. Savage has now beaten Flair. This is after the match now. Elizabeth jumped into the ring to celebrate with her husband. As she tended to a battered man, a defeated Flair grabbed her and kissed her on the lips. In a rare moment of rage, Elizabeth slapped the Nature Boy across the face, followed by another slap and another, just as Savage had done early on in the match. She was releasing weeks of pent-up anger on Flair, which made sense. Savage and Elizabeth were later vindicated when WWE magazine revealed that Flair had doctored the photos, which I just showed you. The real photos showed the loving couple sharing private moments. Flair had simply superimposed himself in the Macho Man's place, which I just showed you. Following WrestleMania, Randy Savage and Elizabeth believed they were finally free from Flair's scheming, finally able to close the book on a painful chapter in their relationship. Furthermore, the WWE Championship Committee had selected Ultimate Warrior as Macho Man's SummerSlam opponent, meaning Flair was out of the picture both personally and professionally, or so they thought. So, because we're going to see what happens, I know what happens. When Flair learned that Warrior was getting the title opportunity at SummerSlam instead of him, he launched another series of well-calculated mind games. This time, his psychological manipulation left both Savage and Warrior believing the other had joined forces with Mr. Perfect. In reality, neither man was in cahoots with Flair's executive consultant. It was all just an excuse for Flair and Mr. Perfect to get close to the win at SummerSlam, where they would wind up brutally attacking Savage's leg with a chair. Obviously, that probably wasn't part of the plan because if you watch the match at SummerSlam, Flair grabs the chair, Savage goes to jump off the rope. Maybe that was part of the plan, but I think that was just kind of improv. The pain caused the pain caused by steel meeting bone forced Randy Savage to curl up into a fetal position while the referee started to count. Violent, violent, valiantly, I don't know how to say that word. The Macho Man tried to recover, but the pain was too great. The ref had no choice but to count Savage out. As a result, Warrior was declared the winner. He was not, however, awarded the WWE Championship because the title cannot change hands on a countout, which is true. Nobody could ever accuse Randy Savage of not being a fighting champion. In the days following SummerSlam, he agreed to defend his gold against Flair, despite not being able to put any weight on his left leg, which I thought was a good babyface move because normally the babyfaces always want to fight, always want to defend their championships. So I thought that was a good babyface move. This unbridled display of macho is a machismo ultimately led to Savage's final moments as champion. Following some outside interference by newcomer Razor Ramon, Flair was able to clinch in his figure four leg lock. Savage refused to give in to the tortuous hold as the capacity crowd marveled at the champ's courage to continue. Finally, though, the pain had become too much for Savage's body to withstand. He slowly drifted out of consciousness as the referee counted his shoulders down for the 3 count. So Ric Flair won. As Ric Flair celebrated his second WWE Championship victory, Randy Savage laid unconscious on the mat, not even realizing his reign had ended. His WWE career never fully rebounded from the loss. He would go on to briefly battle Razor Ramon before settling into his role as a color commentator, as well as an instantly recognizable voiceover and character actor. And there's a picture of Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect standing over Savage after he's lost. And that's really it there. That's the end of the chapter. And we obviously know what ended up happening to Randy Savage, by the way. He ended up going to WCW, and then he never really talked to Vince McMahon ever again. They say the rumor was that he ended up fucking Stephanie McMahon, and Stephanie McMahon was like 18 at the time, and he was like in his 50s, and that's why they never came to terms. Because Triple H always tried to get him into terms. He got Ultimate Warrior into terms with Vince, and he got Bruno Sammartino into terms with Vince McMahon. And you know, I feel like there was some tension there because then eventually Randy Savage ended up passing away, and now he's just now getting into the WWE. He just this year got into the WWE Hall of Fame, and he wasn't even there. Lanny Poffo accepted the induction form, and Hulk Hogan inducted Randy Savage into the Hall of Fame. So it kind of sucks Randy Savage never got to come into terms. At least Ultimate Warrior did before he died. It just kind of sucks Randy Savage never got into good terms with WWE before he died. He ended up dying, by the way, of a heart attack too. Yeah, he was driving and he kind of had a heart attack, and then he hit like the light post, whatever they call, and you know, the telephone pole. That's what I'm thinking of. And then he ended up dying, so that's kind of sad. It was pretty tragic too. I remember I was kind of devastated because I went back and watched footage of Randy Savage, and he was great. He was just so charismatic and so energized. Even I wish I could have seen him live and stuff like that. And then we hope Miss Elizabeth, I think, ended up. I remember Miss Elizabeth passed away, I think, just before he did due to a drug overdose, which sucked. And yeah. But Ric Flair became one of the greatest, what became like the biggest heel at that time. And he was like one of those calculated heels. I think I like Ric Flair as a heel at the time. And that was pretty cool. And yeah, Ric Flair at least liked to be WWF champion. So that's the end of my video. I'm just kind of rambling on. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'll talk to you later.